Good morning, everybody. It is October 26th. I'm Jade Johnston with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. We're here with the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank with the Royal LePage and the Vibe Real Estate Group. And good to see you, Jane. Are you up in your little getaway?
No, I am at home.
Oh, your new office.
This is my new office. Yeah, these pictures all mean something to me. So my mom drew this. That's my husband and I rowing, and that's our family. And that's Pearson College where we met. And those are my awards, and I'm thankful.
Very nice. Very nice. And what about the Thrifties bag?
The what? What you talking about?
On the banister there.
Oh, shoot. You can see that?
See that?
That's there.
Oh, the smile was in the bag. It was great. Okay, fine.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. What can I say? Another week has gone by, another month has gone by, another year has gone by. Here we are, trying to stay in shape, trying to stay healthy, stay busy. And here we are coming into winter, and that's always interesting to me. I was like, oh, the summer's blown by. What did I get up to? What's going on?
Well, rowing.
So most of this winter, find some winter sports to get involved in.
One by one, people opted out of rowing this morning because it was cold.
I went out on the deck to put a couple things away and start the thoughts around winterizing. And I was slipping and sliding out there because there was frost on the ground, and I didn't even realize it. I almost took a header. So yeah, yes, it's suddenly here amongst us folks.
So I was back east and looking at the beautiful colors. We don't really get them here because we're more evergreen, but it was really awesome. And I just want to say thanks to all my classmates from Queens Phys Ed 88. I really enjoyed seeing you last week. So
was a reunion, was it?
Yeah, 35th reunion. I can't believe it. I feel so old.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Anyway, it's all good. Okay, so let's talk about, we have a lot to talk about today. So Sandra Jackson, who's a realtor with Royal LePage in Toronto, puts out these stacks. Actually, she compiles them from other sources. So I've been looking around. I'm like, wow, this is cool, which I sent to you, right? So
I think I've seen stats from CMHC and such before, but it's good to have them all in one place.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what's going on with the market for this week. So it's October 26th. We're going to be discussing updates on rates and economic factors and what's coming down the pipe. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, well, today is, as Jane mentioned, October 26th, and in the last week we had 233 new listings go live. 114 properties went pending out of the pool of available properties. 149 properties decreased in price out of that pool as well. 2 price increases, 3 back on markets, 98 transacted at the lawyers. 33 expired. It's not a big number of expiries, really, considering. And 5 properties were withdrawn. We can compare that to the week before, where we had 239 new listings, so similar numbers there. 155 properties went pending, so definitely more properties went pending a week ago than this week. So on the face of it, it's a bit of a slowdown from week to week. 156 properties decreased in price versus 149 this last week. Similar price increases, 4 versus 3. 3 back on markets, the same, solds relatively similar. 61 expired though, versus the 33, so more expired last week. And there we are. Any thoughts on what we're seeing there, Jane?
Yeah, we're still looking at a list to sale ratio of 48.9%. So that's pretty good.
You know what I find? Because these numbers, people look at these numbers and think, well, if I list my property, then half the properties listing are selling within a week, let's say. That's kind of what it looks like if you look at this as if this 233, 114. It's not quite half and half, but that's actually pretty close. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is there's this pool of properties that are available on market, and those new listings are dropping into the pool. And the pendings are those that are coming out of the pool. But there could be some properties that are swirling the drain, but never going down for quite some time.
That's a great way to put it. They're
Yeah,
pooling.
they're pooling. So, when you're looking at your property, it's still important to be, well priced and competitive in terms of how you present it and available for showings and all of that. It does help you to be in that list of pendings as opposed to just falling into that pool and sitting there circling the drain but never going down it.
Right. Which
Actually,
is
no,
why
not going down the drain is the best analogy for selling your house. But anyway, you want out
that's
of
why
the.
we have 149 price decreases.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So month to date so far, we have 284 net unconditional sales. That's up from 183 last week. And that's compared to 480 for October last year. So September last year was really slow. We had a little bump up in October. This year, September was fast and October seems a bit slower. New listings are at 768. That's compared to 998 for October 2022. And that's up from 529. So those numbers jive. Total active listings are at 2,727. And exactly what you were saying. So we're up week over week, 2,708. And that just means that some properties are sitting. And that's compared to 2,192 last year.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is less listings coming on market versus last year, and more properties sitting on market than last year.
Okay, so the interest rate announcement, yay, steady at 5%.
Yes. Steady, slow and steady. Let's keep it here, and let's not see it go up further, because
So
a lot of people are having a hard time affording that. Although we're going to see in the stats that BC is holding pretty well for mortgage defaults and things.
Right. So the reason why it's steady right now is because they're finding that things are kind of easing down. They're saying the interest rates are dampening economic activity. I was listening to the radio the other day when they were talking about how active the food banks are right now. And I'm like, why don't banks who are making all this money maybe do something for food banks? Might go a long way. Consumption has been subdued, definitely softer demand for housing. Now, that's true. However, rents are increasing, they're saying. And part of the reason why rents are increasing is because people are facing more mortgage payments right now.
Mortgage pressure, yeah. If you're an owner and you have a property up as a rental, and your interest rates have gone up and you're paying more per month, then you're sure hoping to get more rent for your place in order to try to keep it covered or not have to support it as much. Many people have investment properties in the city that they actually have to pay above and beyond what they're getting in income from their suite in order to keep it floating. And the idea there is that the hope is that the value of the property goes up more quickly than the payments. So you're actually still investing, but in recent years, that's it's gone against that trend, and it's been a hard time to hold an investment property, harder time.
Right. So right now everything is steady, but they did not say that they're going to hold the interest rates over the next year. They said there may be an increase in the new year.
Yeah, they're holding out that axe over our heads of saying we can still do this. We still have the power to raise those interest rates, and so don't get too excited. But the pundits are also hoping and saying that this is probably the top. Although I don't know, each time there's one of these interest rate hikes or announcements, they say that's probably it. The pundits say that's probably it, and then there's another. And we're probably not going to see rates come down till 2025 potentially, as well, as what some folks are saying.
Well, we're going to look at a little more stats. So This is from Sandra Jackson, and she got the information from Stats Canada. And so if you look at the arc, what she's showing you is that we were steadily increased to mid 2022, and now we're looking at a leveling off here. That's what they're predicting.
Stats Canada is predicting a leveling off of inflation rates, and the Bank of Canada wants to see interest rates at 2%.
Right.
They're trying to bring the economy back down to a 2% space, and if their interest rates are having the effect of bringing things down, period over period, then that's good. They'll probably continue to keep the rates as they are. If they're finding that inflation starts to spike again, they still have the power to raise those rates.
Right. And I really felt this in the spring, this little rise again. And, as we talked with the economist for BC Real Estate Association, he was saying we had a bit of a run and mortgages are a part of inflation.
There's the basket that they look at, and mortgages are certainly part of what's in that basket. But depending on how you fill that basket, you could look at inflation from different perspectives, and different professionals and different individuals can evaluate this from their own perspective. I mean, I found my father has been stockpiling food because he saw inflation coming, and so he stockpiled a bunch of food. And he's very proud to not have to go shopping today as much because he's got his food stockpiled. Yes, folks, he's a
Okay, this is interesting. So the employment rate after COVID, it was very high, up almost at 14%.
Yeah.
That's still in 2020. And then 2022, it has come down.
It took 2 years to get back to the prior levels.
Yeah. And now we're apparently one of the main factors is one of the good things is the jobs that are being filled by our immigrants. So, I think that's just awesome. We're still looking at a low unemployment rate of just over 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know in Victoria, it's probably even lower than that, right?
I can't speak to that, but I mean, it seems that we have lots of jobs available for people if they want them.
Yeah. So actually, I'm just going to put as we go along, I'm just going to put these in the, hold on.
Oh, into our comments?
So into the comments. I'm just going to put where we can get these press releases and stuff like that. Okay. All right. So residential mortgages. So this is interesting. The red are above the average. The green are below the average. And these are mortgages that are in arrears. And so I actually went to the website where she got this information, and I was looking at it. So it's 0.12%. So that is 866 out of 714,000 mortgages in August of 2023. And it has been fairly steady.
Are you talking about BC? Was that the number you were referencing?
Pardon?
Those numbers you're referencing, is that specific to BC or Canada or
just BC?
Yeah.
Sorry, just BC. And back to February of 2019, it was at 0.15%. In 2010, it was up around 0.5%. So we're definitely down. And I think most people will say that they will try and preserve their house for as long as possible. They're going to take the money away from other sources.
Sorry, did you say in 2019 it was 0.5% for BC in arrears?
No, 2010.
In 2010. Thank you.
Yeah. So just looking back over time here.
Yeah.
That's sort of when it peaked.
Okay. And now we have one of the lower, I mean, Ontario is slightly lower, but we're quite low for mortgages in arrears. People seem to be able to be paying their mortgages, not getting behind on their payments, despite the higher interest rates. I think a lot of people did choose to do fixed term mortgages when interest rates were so low. Other people on the variable rates. When we did get qualified for variable rates, as you may recall, if you have a mortgage, we had to do the stress test. And that stress test was designed exactly for this kind of situation where if the interest rates go up, can you continue to pay your mortgage? And it seems like that is proving out.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me that Saskatchewan and Manitoba, like the prairies, are not doing well. And
Mhm,
specifically, when I was looking at the data, it seemed like Winnipeg was having a hard time. So I don't know why
mhm.
those particular provinces, and same with Atlantic Canada. I do know that prices have increased in Atlantic Canada. A lot of people move from Ontario and are moving to Atlantic Canada still from Ontario.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting. I mean, I'm thinking, is this income related? Is this housing value related? I mean, if it was housing value related, then we would think that BC would be higher in the arrears because, we tend to have some of the higher property values, as does Ontario. I mean, in the centers anyway, but even I think on average, you can go to somewhere like Atlantic Canada and buy a property for much, much cheaper. And so, what is it about these properties, these areas that cause people to be more likely to be in arrears?
yeah, and maybe it could be the fact they're recreational properties. And just remember, like, being in arrears. So I don't know the specific
Yeah, are they
definition
counting
of
that as
that.
one or two payments behind, or at what point do they start to count arrears?
Yeah, I actually can probably find that out.
Okay.
And this is in Ontario. So just looking back, ours looks fairly similar. I think when I put the reference in there, but when I went back, it was 2003, 2010, and then those seem to be the higher years. So this is interesting to me.
Mhm.
So in terms of Ontario, um, yeah, they're low at less than 0.10% now compared to
I mean,
Canada.
I would expect to see a bump in these numbers in 2024 for, across the board. Um, what with, people who are struggling with the higher costs of everything, plus the higher interest rates, certainly would expect to see these jumping quite a bit even in 2024.
It's
What's been interesting, Leo Spaltaholz from House Hunt Victoria was talking about this the other day. It's interesting to see that there hasn't been um, a spike in properties coming up for sale, um, due to the higher interest rates, as people are saying, like, I just can't I can't bear to be under this weight anymore, these payments. Let's just sell the property and rent, or move to a smaller value property and lower our mortgage exposure and that kind of thing.
Well, that's interesting you say that because if somebody does that, I actually have had a couple of clients decide to do that, but it's not because they want to get out from their mortgage. It's because they're waiting for the market to go down.
Right. So they're gambling and they're hoping if they sell now, at, I can't call it peak pricing because that was, a year ago or um, more than a year ago. But if they sell now, they're going to be able to buy back later for a lesser price and scoop up the difference, even after accounting for taxes and fees and so forth.
So
That's a gamble.
the rationale is that if they sell now, they'll have less debt servicing. Right now, they'll be able to accumulate money. One is getting free rent, like, it just totally makes sense.
Mm,
They're thinking that there'll be more people going into arrears, and they're gonna take advantage of that.
right. Yeah.
So and
I have been finding, having a recreational property myself, not exactly recreational property, but a rural property listed for sale that's bare land, and seeing what kind of activity it gets and the feedback and the conversations with other agents around what's happening in that area. It's very clear that, um, cash buyers are the ones that are in a position of power right now, for those kind of properties, and people who have stretched themselves to buy a recreational property and maybe put that on their line of credit on their regular home are thinking like, maybe I don't want to be under the weight of this anymore. I'm going to sell out this recreational property and consolidate my what I've got here.
So peak pricing as well. It's interesting you say that. So peak price in terms of purchase price, but I think we're peak price in terms of interest rates now. Like cost of owning a home is higher, even if prices have gone down. So that's why you're saying that cash is king.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because relatively speaking, actually you are not at peak price if you're in cash.
If you're buying a property for cash, you're not paying the high interest rates and you are benefiting from the lower pricing. Whereas someone who, let's say they bought today at a higher interest rate versus a year and a half ago at a lower interest rate but a higher price, your monthly payments could be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But your actual, equity or not is you're in a better position today if you buy today with cash.
Yeah, and the irony is, so in 2007, when when a whole bunch of people leveraged themselves so high, 2006, 2007, they many people were going into foreclosure, and they have a different banking system than we do. We now, with this 5-year renewal, this is what everybody's betting on, right? It's a 5-year renewal. Is that come 2025? That's when people are going to be like, ugh. So the bank has to get its act together on inflation before that and bring the interest rates down before that. Otherwise, that's when we're going to start seeing the residential mortgages.
Okay, so I think what you're saying is people, let's say in 2020, who got in on a mortgage, on a fixed rate mortgage at a really low interest rate, are coming up for renewal in 2025, and they're going to have to qualify, and not only qualify but actually pay for a mortgage at a much higher interest rate if interest rates remain where they are. And so there's going to be a lot of people hit by that, and there are people who are just banking on and hoping that they can just continue to cruise through this. There's two groups here. There's the folks who have the mortgages that are hoping they can cruise through this, get to the end of the day in 2025, and find that interest rates have come down again, so that they're going to be okay. There's the other folks that are waiting for that to come around. Interest rates remain high, and people just can't afford it, and they're going to have to fire sale their homes. So that's kind of like, those are two scenarios you're kind of looking at. And of course, there's not a fixed date of 2025. There's people with mortgages coming due from today onwards, but there will be people with really low rates that are holding out, and they're coming up for renewal in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and at this point, I wish we had an American system with a 30-year mortgage at 2%.
Right. Yeah, you can't have it all, but that's, yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, how is the bank making any money in the US? Whereas here, they're like rolling in the dough.
We do have the option, though. I mean, so the 2% mortgages at 30-year mortgages at 2% are amazing. We did have, you do have the ability when you get a mortgage renewal to lock in for, 3, 5, 10 years. And I think longer. I haven't really looked at that, but I think you can even lock in longer, can you?
Yeah, well, they'll just charge you more.
They'll charge you a higher interest rate, and that's the thing. So you can choose to do that. It's just you're gambling that longer term interest rate.
Okay, so let's talk about needs and wants. So anyway, what's your prediction actually now?
I've got none. I mean, it's been so all over the place. I'd like to see and hope that things get more affordable, but for everyone, that the interest rates come down a little bit. But it's really hard to say, and there's so many other factors like global events that can impact rates as well, and markets. So I'm just going to continue just to help people as they need to buy and sell. And I feel like we're going to see a slower spring. Definitely already feel a little, I mean, we can see in the stats, slower winter. But it's not dead in the water. So I think there's people always who need to buy and sell. And, if you are trying to time the market, it can really come back to bite you if you time it improperly. So, make a good decision, make an informed decision, but um, don't don't throw all your eggs in the one basket, because I've definitely seen people do that and get financially harmed.
Right. And you know, we can we can overthink this process or we can just go with it. So, we have to work with what we have in the moment, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, as realtors, we do. I mean, and it's really hard to give. It's always interesting because you and I have both, when the market is going up and up and up, and there's no end in sight, and we help someone buy a property, and then the next day property values go way down, and you thinking like, oh darn, these people have just locked themselves in at more than they needed to, but there's nothing that we really could have done or said, and they were. It's just where things land. And the same
Yeah.
thing with, things going down. We don't know. Um, we've got listings right now. We're seeing, as we talked about the stats, properties with price reductions happening. Is it wise now to get ahead of price reductions and price really aggressively to get your home sold really low? But then if the market buoys back up right after you've done that price reduction and sold the property at a lower price, you could have held out and gotten more. We never know where the market's going to turn around either. So it's a matter of just doing the best you can to advise and let your clients make those decisions, but with that information in front of them. But
It's
there's
interesting
nobody
because
really knows. I mean, these things, if people did really truly know, uh, they'd be the billionaires. There's very few of those.
so it's interesting you say that because we just listed a condo recently where I'm not sure if I told you this, but anyway, the sale price is here. Everybody was listing here and negotiating down. And we decided we're just going to list where the sale price was.
Yeah,
And so these guys are all still sitting there
yeah,
anxious.
yeah,
They're they're not going to get more money.
yeah,
And we just sold it. We had tons of interest.
yeah. And I've always, and you and I have both had the conversation with the seller who says, okay, you talk to the seller, you say, okay, this is where the sales are. This is where people are asking. I'm going to suggest you go here, and they're going to say no, but I actually want to go here,
Yeah.
because people can always make an offer. And you know, and I say, well, yeah, they can make an offer, but they're going to make an offer on these ones or these ones. Yours is not going to be the one they're going to come to first to make an offer. Because if they're hoping to get money off the price, it's not that.
Yeah, and buyers are still like
Buyers are really savvy.
I had a guy yesterday say to me, he was a plumber. He's like, "So, market's still hot?" They're still expecting to pay more. So depending on how savvy the buyer is, we're savvy, but the buyers are not savvy. The sellers are not savvy. Very rarely are they savvy.
We need to give them our best advice and then let them choose. But what we can't do, and we do this all the time. You and I always say, what do you think the future holds? And we kind of talk about that. But at the same time, we don't really know. We can just sort of say, based on what we're experiencing in the last little while, plus the overall trends, what we kind of see. But to make a decision on that, we have equal chance of being wrong as anybody else.
Yes. Well, more informed chance of being wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, so what do you have on the market that you need to sell right now?
Well, I've got a number of listings. I've got a great townhouse, really well priced now on Pandora. 2 beds, 2 baths, 1,400 square feet. So it's large for this price point of 715,000. Has a garage and nice shape, nice floor plan. Really love to see that move. I've got 2 single-family properties, both in Esquimalt, one on Garthland. It's a great home if you are looking to um, have multi-generational living there, or bring mom and dad, mom or dad. It's a smaller suite down, but it is just level entry, full height, above ground suite with no step. And then the upstairs is a wonderful 3-bed, 2-bath configuration, nice yard, great place. We also have one that's 3 beds up with and 3 beds down, 2 separate suites over on Witchbury at $1 million, which is great value for anybody looking for that kind of property. If this had been again a year and a half ago, it would have been 1.15. And flying out the door. And today at $1 million, it's sitting. Could use a little TLC, but it's overall well worth it. And there's lots of good fundamental things done, like gas furnace, and the roof's in good shape and newer windows. We're going to talk about. I'll let you do yours, and then we'll talk about wants.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we have 3 homes on the market right now. One is on Southgate. It's a condo at 635, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's just under 1,200 square feet. It's all being renovated. We're getting great feedback on it. So the only thing is it does not have shared laundry. So just a note to people. But great location at 1035 Southgate. So right by the park there. And we have a duplex, which is really the original family home. They built a deck and then joined it to another family home in behind. So that's priced at $915. So it's an income suite down below. And it is getting $1,245. So if you're looking for an income helper, that one's a lovely home.
That's just down below where my place. That's the one on 5th, was it? No.
5th Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's at 2741 5th. And then we have one at 4562 Rithitwood. That one's priced at 1420. We've been going back and forth with the buyer who wants us to pay for all their renovations. There are some issues which we have disclosed. So anyway, we're completely upfront about it all. So this one is 3,284 square feet. It's on a large lot, but it's at the top of a hill. So that's a bit of a challenge, but it's really close to parks and walking distance to Lochside Elementary. It's a lovely home, actually. And it's got that kind of 1980s modern appeal. It's really cool.
So we're talking West Coast contemporary kind of home, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that style.
Yeah, I mean, I can show you it, but I won't. Okay, and then buyers. Do you have any buyers?
Yeah. Got folks looking for an investment property, preferably with some land. Be nice to be able to have. I mean, it's really limited on where. I had to do some extra research on this, but a lot of municipalities do not allow quote investment properties unless it's a duplex. So in other words, the owner has to live in the home if there's a suite in there. And municipality of Victoria allows you to be a non-owner and have 2 suites, but areas like Langford and Saanich and Oak Bay, of course, doesn't really. There's not going to be allowing anything other than
owner occupied.
Yeah. So anyway, we're looking for something like that up to maybe 1.3 million. So preferably City of Victoria, possibly a duplex in a Esquimalt, some sort of investment property. I'm looking for something Oak Bay, Fairfield area, up to 2 million with 3 beds, 2 baths minimum. I'm looking for this one for a little while. I know. You'll find it eventually, but there's not a lot coming on in those areas that really works. As a side note, actually, I noticed an agent is doing a bit of they've got a listing in Oak Bay that I think the price was 1.4, and they've just dropped the price to $1 million. And they're going to hold off offers for 2 weeks and then take best offer at that day with no reserve.
Let the market.
Kind of an interesting market strategy. So an Oak Bay home is listed currently for $1 million, which is great, and that's their strategy. And it's interesting when we get into these kind of markets where people do start to pull in different strategies to make these things work.
I am looking for it right now. So if you guys want more information, contact me or Andrew.
Right. Okay. Yeah, contact Jane. I don't want to deal with it actually because it'll be a gong show.
I think it's $999, $900.
Yeah.
If it's the one I'm thinking of. Yes, and it's kind of Tudor style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so for me, my buyers here, I'm just going to my list here. I have a client looking, they're actually willing to pay cash for a home in kind of the Maplewood area. That's where we're looking up to. They would prefer a house with 2 levels and they want a large lot and not on a busy road. Like we don't want to be on, I don't know, Maplewood, but around on those side streets there, preferably near the park. Um, what else? I have a lot of people just watching the market. I have a buyer who's coming who's an investment person looking for a condo that's an investment condo long term. And I have buyers looking in Machosen, so for a house with a suite, please. And I also have somebody looking for a single family home with a suite, preferably like anywhere central Saanich down to View Royal area. And they like it all done, please, up to 1.6. So, and then I have other clients also looking for an income property in the Fernwood area. And they want something with a suite as well. They're looking up to 1.3. So that's it for right now.
All doable. Okay.
All doable. All righty. So you guys, just remember we are on every Thursday at 9:30. We'd love to hear if you want topics covered. Next week, of course, we are going to be doing our monthly market update. So if you have ideas for guests, I do have an idea actually of maybe interviewing a whole bunch of Ontario realtors and just seeing what's happening there. Because I was just there and it's softening.
Yeah, or some of those realtors from even Atlantic Canada, because seeing that those arrears are happening, it'd be interesting to know what's going on with that. I've always, and also we could bring in realtors from other areas of Vancouver Island just to get maybe a highlight on certain areas where people may want to downsize to or be curious about. So these are all ideas that are in the hopper, and feel free to throw your ideas into the ring as well.
Okay, so Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
Reach out at 250-360-6106. That's 250-360-6106. Email is info@andrewplank.com, and you can reach me at andrewplank.com. I'm the Vibe Real Estate Group with myself and Josh Merrick. We're happy to help you out.
Alrighty, you can reach me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. My website's briarhillgroup.com. And you can look at these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you in a couple weeks or next week.
See you next week, Jane. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Bye now.